Hello guys, welcome back to Arkademy Online. This is Bella, Director of Art Global Placements. And so Art Global is basically a consultancy that predominantly focuses on the placements of engineers in the data space, machine learning, AI, IT, as well as embedded development. We are based in South Africa, but we are growing globally. In fact, as we speak, I am based in Mauritius right now, and we are trying to obviously connect to some businesses while we're here, while we're having fun. So I'll keep you guys posted on how we grow globally as time goes on. So Arkademy Online is actually a subdivision of our global placements, and we are focusing on basically assisting the job seeker in excelling in their interviews, or helping our job seekers prep for interviews so that they stand out in interviews. We are going to be, the plan is to run workshops in the near future, which is mainly going to be targeted on, like the graduate level type of profiles, candidates who are leaving varsity, entering the job market, because we've noticed that there is really a big gap in that space. But obviously we are not limited to that. I always say this at the end, that if you ever need any assistance, or if you want to jump on a call, or role play, whatever, if you need help preparing for an interview, we are always available. You can drop me an email on info@artglobalplacements.com. It is a service that is available for free to all job seekers, so I really recommend that you make use of this service, just so that you feel better prepared as you engage with people in your industry. Now, over the last couple of weeks, we have been talking about different questions that you can expect from interviews, and we have spoken about things like strengths and weaknesses. We've spoken about why should we hire you, tell us about yourself. We've spoken extensively about salary and reasons for leaving. So if you have not watched those videos, I would suggest you go and check them out on our channel. And I guess you'll see, I hope that the content is helpful and it'll give you a little bit of a different context or perspective as you go for interviews. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about counter offers. Okay, so counter offers is obviously quite a sensitive topic. Normally in my interviews, if you have spoken to me before, you'll know that I always ask the question, if there's anything your company can do for you to stay with them, and that is how I ask the question as to whether you're going to accept a counter offer. A lot of people do get it when I do ask the question, and unfortunately, if your answer to that question is yes, then my head goes red flag. Okay. Because I did explain this before in the reasons for leaving video. Check it out if you haven't done that yet. But I have spoken about the process that happens, or what happens after you've declared that you are in the market, the time that I'm going to invest in your profile and trying to find you a job. And unfortunately, I cannot justify to myself why I should do that if there's a chance that at the end you're going to accept a counter offer. Time is money, guys. That's just how life works, and it just makes it difficult, okay, to invest my time in you knowing that you are not fully in this with us. But one thing I can just say is that, especially relating to counter offers, is that by the time you put yourself in the market, you need to make sure that you are ready to make a move, that there's nothing that your company can do for you to stay with them, that you've already addressed or you've already tried to change your circumstances, especially if your reasons for leaving are money, growth, or like that we spoke about in the previous video. You know what I mean? So you need to make sure that whatever reason it is you are leaving, that you've already tried to fix it at your current situation. And by the time you knock on my door, you need to know that, you know what, I've tried everything, that it's time to make a move, okay? And that there's nothing your company can do for you to stay with them. That just makes it easier for me as a specialist tech recruiter to actually invest my time in your profile and try and secure something for you. People don't understand the impact of accepting a counter offer. Okay, so first of all, besides the time that's been wasted attending interviews, preparing for interviews, and all of that, all right, so the minute you accept an offer at my client basically stops the recruitment process. Okay, we actually decline all the other candidates that maybe had been interviewed for the same position, because we know candidate A is coming to join us in about a month. And then if you are going to accept a counter offer when you resign, it just means that now, first of all, shucks, my client doesn't have a person that they can place on their project, okay, which is very detrimental. It can ruin the relationship between my client and their client, you know. And so when you decide that you're going to accept a counter offer, now they have to restart the process of hiring. And guys, you know, we operate in a tech recruitment space. These are skills that you can't find in a day. You know what I mean? It can take us a whole month or 2 or 3 to find a suitable replacement for you once you've decided to accept a counter offer. And so that is the impact it has. All right, so it just means that now there's going to be a delay with my client's project, and they could even potentially lose a client, or they can lose the project. It can go to another consulting company that probably has the skill readily available or something along those lines. You never know. Okay, you never know what happens behind the scenes. So I feel like people need to understand the impact of accepting a counter offer, that it's not just about them in that moment or your needs being filled, but there is actually consequences and results, and which are generally quite negative for myself, for my client, and so, which is why I would find it difficult to help anyone that I felt or I suspected they would accept a counter offer. So my point is, by the time you put yourself in the market, you need to be 100% sure that you want to make a move, and just to avoid wasting people's times and all of that. Besides all of that, it gives you a bad name in the industry. I mean, you guys know that it's a very small industry, right? Especially if you are in, I don't know, machine learning or whatever, you know, it's a very small industry, and people talk. You know, it has happened in the past where I mentioned a name and the client was like, no, don't even bother. This person is flaky or whatever. You know what I mean? It has happened before. So you need to make sure that, and I mean, counter offer can actually contribute to that kind of negative reputation. You know, people don't forget, you know, especially if the impact of your decision to accept a counter offer was actually, negatively impacted their client or their company, you know, and people will talk and they'll talk. And whenever your name is mentioned, people will remember that, no, this person is not reliable. They don't pitch, they accept counter offers, they're flaky, and so it is also about your reputation as a candidate in the industry. So in essence, I strongly believe that reputable people do not accept counter offers. Okay, I'll put it out there. Now, another thing to think about when it comes to counter offers is that counter offers actually break the trust between you and your current employer. Okay, never mind me, never mind my client, but where you are at, unfortunately, the trust is broken. You know, you've already informed them that, you know what, you want to leave, and then now, oh no, actually I'm going to stay. And to be honest, it's only a matter of time before you leave, because especially if your reason for leaving was not necessarily money, or it was not, or your reason for leaving was probably growth, which is something they cannot give to you, the money will eventually catch up with you. You hear me? In the next 3 months, you're going to be back to, oh shucks, okay, I'm not feeling the increase they gave me now. Now I still want my growth and I'm still not getting it. The money will catch up with you. But you'll still be in the same environment that you were in. But my point is that counter offers break the trust purely because you've already kind of like put that cloud over your head. Whenever you go out for, I don't know, when you're off sick, whatever, there's just gonna be that thing that says that maybe they're attending other interviews. And unfortunately, it's not an ideal place to be in, right? When your company doesn't trust you, because if they suspect that you might still leave at some point, that's going to impact your growth in that company even more. Okay, because why should I invest in the person that's already wanted to leave me? It's like a relationship, guys. Like if your boyfriend or girlfriend came to you and said, I'm leaving you, and then you were like, oh no, but I love you, or please stay, and then the person stays. I don't know, like I just feel like the fact that they wanted to leave in the first place, breaks the trust, breaks the relationship, and therefore the other party might not invest as much in the other person or they might start looking elsewhere for another person because you had alerted them that you actually wanted to leave. So that's the impact of a counter offer, I believe, like it just breaks the trust. Another thing to remember also with counter offers is that there's no such thing as a counter offer kitty box lying around in a corner of a company. The money they're giving you has to come from somewhere. Okay, and I've seen this happen over and over again with candidates that have accepted counter offers. In the next couple of years, it impacts their increases in the company, because you once were awarded a big lump sum or you were given a big increase. Therefore, we'll just give you a little increases as we go along in order to make up for the loss we experienced during that time, just to keep you here. So I've heard this happen I've seen this happen over and over again, where candidates accept counter offers, but their increases are hugely impacted going forward in that company. Now, another thing also that I suspect, or another thing that, I've had clients come to me and they say, hey, we suspect this person is going to leave. Can you start looking for, this type of a skill or whatever? Okay. And I strongly believe that companies do use counter offers to buy time, to buy time in order to fund a replacement for you. Now, if you are going to accept a counter offer, you're actually falling into that trap, because they know that you're still going to leave anyways. And already they might not have advertised your position, but believe you me, that company is talking about a replacement. They've already made a few calls. They're like, hey, we managed to get this person to stay, but it's only a matter of time. Do you know anyone? Do you know somebody that can act as a replacement for this particular skill? And that's just what I believe about counter offers. And so at the end of the day, it's actually, it's not always the case, to be honest. Like, companies sometimes will counter offer purely because they really value you and they really don't want to lose a skill. That also does happen. Okay, but I just feel like a lot of time, this is what happens behind the scenes, and candidates unfortunately are not always aware of this, and therefore they fall into the trap of accepting a counter offer, and then they lose out on a great opportunity where they could have experienced the growth that they are looking for at the end of the day. So this is what I believe about counter offers, and I've been in this industry for the last 17 years, and I've seen it happen over and over again. And whenever somebody accepts a counter offer, it's like, okay, they've got you. But guys, just be careful out there. I believe if a company values you, they will pay you the money that you want, and you won't even have a reason for leaving, if you know what I mean. You won't have a reason for leaving. Yes, I do acknowledge that, sometimes you reach a point where you're like, you know what, I've got other plans, and therefore I'm leaving, and we end up leaving great companies and stuff for whatever purpose or whatever reason that we see fit for our own careers at that point. But I think people just need to know the impact their decisions make on other people's lives and companies and clients and but also at the same time the impact that accepting a counter offer has on your career at the end of the day. Anyways, I hope that was helpful. Do drop me an email, like, subscribe, share. We trying to create a community where we can help job seekers excel in their interviews. I am available. Email address is info@outglobalplacements.com. If you ever need to jump on a call, it's a free service that we offer here at Outglobal. And let us know if you need any help. Cool. You have a lovely day. Check you in the next one. Bye.